I'm not even sure it's appropriate for me to start this one off with the peace greeting either. And one of the reasons I say that is that even though I'm addressing a Muslim in this case, I'm not addressing him with peace. Not even with smoke, but with fire. Angry biracial, whom I want to greet as a fellow Muslim and in peace, has set up and decided to hold black men's feet to the fire and let the sisters off the hook. I don't know where this man is from, but where most of us grew up, and that's a lot of North America, the men don't get these options. The men don't get to make these decisions. It's always some crap when it comes to us dealing with the women. And that is, even when you Muslim and you deal with Muslim women coming out the West, it's always something. All they got is games. And somebody could say, well, were you trying to fornicate? Because that's when they play games. You know what? They're playing games when you're trying to fornicate. They're playing games when you're not. When you're Muslim and you ain't trying to fornicate, there are probably fewer games if her dad's involved and he's serious. But then again, dad's got to not be a simp. Dad has to not be a stereotypical girl dad. He has to actually be a fair father. And we know how rare that is. Because a lot of you Negroes right now that got daughters got all kinds of expectations for the men, but your daughter's a princess and ain't got to meet no standards. As far as you're concerned, she done already met them no matter what the hell she did behind your back already. And you're not willing to confront, Assalamu alaikum, and you're not willing to confront the reality of what she might be because she can, because you ain't there 24 hours a day. That's a hard thing for me to confront, but I got to do it. You do too. And that's what's saddening about this. This man wants to sit up and talk about how rarely we black men hold each other accountable, how rarely we say to a black man who's not there for his kids, you can't roll with me, we ain't partners until you're there for your kids. Yeah, I don't know too many brothers that just, a matter of fact, I don't know men that just abandon their kids. I ain't seen that yet. I've been waiting. Can't find it. You know why? Because that ain't what's going on. What is happening right now is you got men being kept away from their kids. Moms ain't giving up custody, and courts are going to default to women when it comes to custody. And when men win custody and moms don't obey the orders, they don't get prosecuted. They don't get picked up for kidnapping. You could be a man and you got custody, and she can call the cops on you and you can still get picked up for kidnapping. Now, it may be hard to actually bring in front of a trial because of the records, but you can still be put through the inconvenience of being locked up, and then while you got custody, they still got to put the kids back in mom's custody temporarily while you locked up. Giving her time to meet with an attorney to arrange for you to all somehow still be denied the custody that you won in court. They always got something. An angry biracial wants to sit up here and point the finger at us like it's something that we did, like we arranged that, like we set that up. No, the hell we didn't. We won't have a reason for that. We have nothing to gain and everything to lose if we did. And I mean, I know of a Muslim brother, and if it makes a difference to angry biracial, he's also light-skinned, from both Michigan and one of the Carolinas. Got married to a Manakaba, had a daughter, and his wife just up and decided one day, he said, I'm not contacting old girlfriends. Don't you be contacting old boyfriends from high school. Because apparently neither of them were Muslim during high school. So he said, I'm not contacting him. Don't you do so either. And what did she do? She went and not only contacted an ex-boyfriend from high school on Facebook, she left the computer logged into Facebook with the messages on the screen just so that he could see that she did what he said not to do, because she don't tell him nothing. And you know what? He did the right thing. He said, bye. Someone said, well, he could have stayed and then he still have access to his daughter. Probably not. If he stays with a woman like that, what is she going to do? She's going to leave him anyway and still take his daughter. So he filed caught her off guard. He gets to see his daughter, but he doesn't have full custody. The daughter's asking, I want to stay with you, Pops, but he don't get full custody. Meanwhile, the ex-wife has left the religion, taken off everything, the hijab and the niqab, and has a drunk dude living with her that used to be homeless. But she got custody. And angry biracial wants to sit up and tell brothers that we screwing up because we don't hold deadbeat dads accountable. Most of us don't know them. That's how rare they really are. He's ignoring facts. And to make matters worse, this dude didn't say anything about how it is that sisters, and I want to give a shout out to Saeed, and Abdullah bin Babi Tayyib and everybody else that brought him to my attention. Also the hybrid vigor, he told me about him. So I got multiple people that don't know each other confirming the same thing, trying to figure out why I haven't even seen this dude yet. How come I haven't said anything? Because I didn't really know about him. I heard his name maybe twice when I talked with the Golden Sphere before it got ripped apart by misandry and feminism. No, not by misogyny. That's not what did it. It was feminism. And the thing is that he ain't saying nothing about how it is that sisters ain't holding each other accountable for parental alienation. Driving husbands away, driving dads away, and then looking for stepdads. Because stepdads can be, it's easier to guilt a stepdad into taking care of someone else's kids than it is to actually give that stepdad authority over the kids of whom he is taking care as if they were his own. Well, they your babies too. Then when it's time to discipline them and pop one of their little bad behinds on the booty, he ain't even your child. Yeah, he is. You said he was. But you abusive. Well, he or she was acting up. I just corrected behavior. I mean, I got to feed them and everything else. What I'm supposed to do, am I just here to kick out the cash? I mean, he ain't saying nothing about this. Angry biracial, I'm being nice this time. The right thing to do, sir, is to hear out the black manosphere. Now, if you're listening to the white manosphere and you think they're a bunch of complaining beta males, that's between you and them. I've understood them to have valid and invalid points alike. That's what it pretty much means to be white and any kind of conservative in America, or really anywhere in the world. You get a few valid points and then you use those to jump to invalid conclusions. That's what I wanted you to understand. But I'm going to tell you, you might want to check out the black manosphere, bro, because even if you want to say, well, I'm biracial, yeah, but we actually have more valid points. And a lot of us have done a very good job, especially in recent years, since COVID. A lot of us have done a very good job of walking the fine line in between moral and political moral conservatism. Well, the extremes are, we have done a good job of walking that fine line in between the two extremes of white political conservatism and white political liberalism. We've actually walked that balance and walked that middle of the road pretty well in more recent years. You might want to give it a second look, sir, and a third. As a girl dad, I understand your concern for your daughters. I got two of my own, and I'm concerned for their well-being as well. And I've had, their mom has tried to check me about something in a nice way because she really thought that I was mistaken about something, and I had to tell her, you don't get it. The issue is not me distrusting the daughters. The issue is me distrusting the environment right now. But there will come a day if they're too comfortable in that environment in which they live. And to mom's credit, she did try to leave there. But I've had to say, if they become too comfortable in that environment in which they live, listening to what these feministas say, then I will have to distrust them too. Right now, it's the environment. I have no trust in it. None. We ain't got time for this, and we never did. Got no time to waste. And we never really did have time to waste, because people who got into this a while ago and their daughters were little kids now have their daughters entering their teens or preteens. The daughters are being approached by, if the daughters are any good and they're not the ones doing the approaching of other girls with these things, and they're being approached by other girls in the schools with things like concert tickets and backstage passes so that they can lay down with a celebrity while they're underage and then act like, they were taken advantage of. They're being approached with these things. We underestimate, because a lot of us we're under involved. Those of us who are involved in our kids' lives, men and women, mothers and fathers alike, we are under involved as far as the details that we know about their lives, because we're very busy. That's anybody. But the side effect of that is that we tend to underestimate who is approaching our daughters with what, and the boys, well, hell, the only thing they're being taught is that they're scum and they're oppressive, unless, of course, they're those select guys that the women want to bash and validate. Smash and validate. They can do what they want. They're allowed to, because they're super select. And they're very rare, but the rest of them have to pay. So in any case, because of what we've been underestimating nowadays, we all got catching up to do. Those of us that are involved and mean well and live with our children have a lot of catching up to do in terms of the environment in which they are, the environment into which we send them all the time. So I'm being nice this time, angry biracial. But I still got to tell you the truth. Man, you full of it. There's nothing for men, especially black men. And that includes, when I say that includes you as a black admixed man, even if you designate yourself of a separate category, which is fine. The point is that as a black admixed man, as a man of any black blood in the West, you are also being blamed for things you didn't do. And there's no accountability for you to take. None. And you cannot absolve yourself of the guilt of somebody else by blaming the one that's not even guilty in the first mother cuss word place. The New York Times and the CDC. And I forgot who else it was, but it was 3 parties that found out when they did their studies that, we black fathers are the most involved when we're fathers, and that a lot of us ain't even fathers. We've already seen that a lot of men, period, white or black, are not even that sexually active, while most women are. What the F, man? How's that working out? Well, you know what it takes for those statistics to be true, especially within the same age group, or even without the same age group. You know what that takes? A bunch of ladies are laying down with most of the women are laying down with the same few men. They can talk all they want about monogamy. They're not practicing that. They're sharing these men knowingly and unknowingly. And what they're finding out is that in actuality, a pheromone company years ago, back in the 90s, already did a study. A pheromone company was called High Octane. I know, because I bought it and it worked. That pheromone company, sir, found that when they applied male and female pheromones alike on a man, more women were attracted to those men. Whereas when they added on just male pheromones to the surface of a man's skin and he was around women, it didn't make a difference. They also found that the women's responses to these pheromones, that had to be both male and female pheromones coming off of a man, that there was only one nerve in the nose called the vomeronasal nerve that is not responsible for olfactory smelling. It only responded to the pheromones. And when it responded, it lit up a very primitive lizard area of the brain. In other words, the women are wired to want non-monogamous men. They're wired to compete. They can't help it. And I myself, I don't really blame, if that's how they were made, I don't blame them. I blame them for lying about it. I blame them for that. I'll never forgive them for the lies more than anything. And I keep telling people, and you might think, well, black man, you sound like a bitter beta male who's been trying hard all his life to prove that he's black and be accepted. No, bro. What it is that I've not really had much trouble with dudes once we got into adulthood. Hell, even towards the end of my teens. And I found that even sisters made great and excellent friends. But what I did find is that they effing lied. And now you want to sit up here and point the blame at men for what's not within our control in the first mother cuss word place. You want to hold the men's feet to the fire when we don't benefit from the court system, even though it's men that run it. It ain't black men. It ain't even regular white men that run it. And then you want to hold men's feet to the fire for the mating market, which is really not something that men have run either. We determine commitment, but the truth be told, women and men determine commitment. And we were taught to not gatekeep commitment. And we were not taught that women are mis-gatekeeping sex. It's okay for them to gatekeep it. And hell, men and women are supposed to gatekeep that ideally. But we were not taught that they're going to mis-gatekeep it just for the purpose of practicing a dual mating strategy. We were not told this. So in any case, I hope that this has been a benefit. Mr. Angry Biracial, maybe if you listened more and spoke less, you might be angry still, but for a completely different set of reasons. Once again, I want to thank you all for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. And as always, black, heterosexual, non-select male power. Just because folks like Angry Biracial don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. Thank you again for flying with me on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jet black with me till the wings and the wheels fall off. Justice forever.